In this three-part video, you will learn about how to find bills and how to trace them as they pass through the Ontario Legislative Assembly. In the first part, we will look at what bills are and how we identify them. In the second part, we'll look at how bills are passed, and finally, in the third part, we'll learn how to follow a bill using the Ontario Legislative Assembly website. First up, let's look at what bills are and how they're identified. Bills are draft legislation presented to a deliberative body for its consideration. Bills create laws. They can create new laws, and they can amend or repeal existing laws. Frequently, bills do all three. Bills here in Ontario are introduced in the Legislative Assembly, and they're numbered sequentially by type of bill in the order in which they are introduced. The numbering starts afresh for public bills every session and for private bills every legislature, so you therefore need to know the session when researching a bill. But normally you'll have a rough date and or a general topic to help you to identify the legislature and the session. The main types of bills are public and private, with the first bill being introduced each session occupying a special place. Bill 1 has its origins in a British parliamentary tradition going back to 1727. It is a pro forma bill that does not pass and become law. In Ontario, it is entitled An Act to Perpetuate an Ancient Parliamentary Right. It receives first reading and only first reading. Bill 1 is a symbolic act that preserves the right of Parliament to discuss what it wishes to discuss independent of the throne speech. The most important series of bills we encounter, however, are public bills. They are known as public bills as they have general applicability throughout the province. When they are introduced by government or the cabinet, they are known as government bills and they reflect government policy. Each will have a responsible minister who will administer the law and who normally introduces it. If a government bill is defeated, the party in power must resign and an election normally follows. Individuals who are not a part of the government, backbenchers, and members of the opposition parties may also introduce public bills, but there are a few restrictions. Here we have an example of a public bill. From top to bottom, we have the legislature and session, important for tracing, the bill number, the full title of the bill, the name of the person who introduced it. Note also that the title is indicated, the individual is named by office, and if there's a cabinet shuffle while this bill is being considered, it then becomes the responsibility of the new minister, and at the bottom we have an indication that this is a government bill. This too is a public bill, but it is introduced by a private member. We have the same sort of information, but the individual introducing it is named by name only, not by party affiliation or position, and also we have the indication that it is a private member's bill. Now, government bills form the majority of bills that actually pass and become laws. Private members' bills become law less frequently. The second category of bills are private bills. These are aimed at individuals. And parties who wish private legislation must apply for it and place a notice in the Canada Gazette. If their application is successful, the bills are then introduced on their behalf by a private member. Here we have a private bill. And a great many, by the way, address bodies created by provincial legislatures, colleges or universities, for instance, for their charters are legislation and must be changed by legislation. Here we have one that concerns Huron University College. We have the bill number. Note the prefix PR. And please remember that the bill numbering for private bills starts afresh each legislature, in other words, following each election and not by each session. And again, we have the name of the individual introducing it, in this case, a backbencher or someone who is not a member of the cabinet. And finally, we have an indication at the bottom that it is a private bill. Now, all bills are numbered, and we've just looked at the different types of numbering, but bills are also distinguished by a title. And frequently there are two titles, a formal, full one appearing on the cover. All bills have a full title, and also a short title expressed in the text of the bill. Most indexes and lists use the short title, and when the news media cover a bill, they usually use the short title as well. Here we have Bill 38, a public bill. Note the long and convoluted full title of the bill. Within the text of the bill, we have a clause establishing the short title. This is the title that the public, including newspapers, will use, and is also the one normally used to index the bill. And as we see here, on the Legislative Assembly, the short title is used to locate and to trace the bill. And so to summarize, bills are legislative proposals. There are two types of bills, public bills and private bills. Public bills can be government or private members' bills. Bills are numbered within their respective series. Public bill numbering starts afresh every session. Private bill numbering starts afresh every legislature. Bills will have full titles, but they may also have short titles as well. And this ends part 1 of the series.